Good morning, everyone. You're tuned in to Nusound Radio, 92 FM. Just going to say thanks to Kanjibai for the Gujarati show just before. This is Vivek. You're now listening to a reasonable conversation with Satish, Prerna and myself. Today we're talking about New Year's resolutions. But before we get into that, how are you guys doing? How's Christmas?
Yeah, hello there, and hello to all of our listeners. This is Satish, and Christmas was its usual time of excess for me, to be honest, and I think we're all a little shell-shocked and just recovering from the time spent with so many turkeys.
Well, I don't know about turkeys, but yeah, I think it's Christmas was really good, but I think it's recovery time now for all of us.
Yeah, no, it's funny for, a holiday. It's one of those holidays where you really do need, to recover afterwards from, I don't know, all the good time, I suppose, all the eating.
Cooking, family.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the
television.
Just the mention of turkeys. I've just had this vision of billions of turkeys all around the planet breathing and having a huge sigh of relief that they survived the December-January period. So, welcome back, everybody, and we hope that all of your Christmases were safe, sound, merry, and that there weren't too many family arguments, and that the time of joy was spread liberally.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so just before we dive into our topic, I was just going to say, if you've got any ideas as to what would be a cool New Year's resolution, if you have any New Year's resolutions that you're thinking of keeping yourself, if you've heard of any odd, weird, wonderful ones, feel free to text in. The number to text in on is 07961 387 787, or you can even join in with the conversation by ringing into the studio on 0208 472 9292. And of course you can tweet us as well at NewSound92FM. Yeah.
Wonderful. We look forward to receiving your calls and messages. So this thing called New Year's resolutions, obviously it's not been around throughout the world. Has it always been in part of human culture and human history? New Year's, going back to the Gregorian calendar, I suppose the time scale would be such that 1st of January only came into existence when the Gregorian calendar was created.
It was actually introduced by Julius Caesar.
Oh, right.
And prior to that, New Year's fell on the 14th of January, which is quite interesting.
Wow, okay, because that's not the date of the beginning of the Indian New Year. The Indian New Year is also slightly earlier, isn't it? It's just after Diwali. Mm-hmm. So Diwali marks a sudden shift, and then Hindus have always used that as the New Year. So New Year's resolutions are a peculiarly European phenomenon, do you think?
I think so. I think a lot of European countries do have New Year's resolutions, but I wouldn't say it's just European countries. I mean,
I think it's a great idea. There's no doubt about it.
But, I've got some New Year's resolutions, and I'm starting them on January the 1st as opposed to after Diwali. So,
and what are they?
Oh,
we'll come to that in due course.
Okay.
So, Bernard, you were saying that Julius Caesar, it goes back to his time. Do you have any idea what the first resolutions that are on record for? Any idea what they were?
Well, I have no idea what the first resolutions was, but I know the Babylonians started this New Year's resolutions tradition where they'd make a promise to the gods at the start of each year that they would return borrowed objects and pay their debts. So that's an interesting New Year's resolution. Okay. Pay off your debts.
The question I want to ask is, why do they have to make that resolution? Were they not planning to in the first place? Or
possibly not.
Or is it a plea for more time? Look, I know I promised you last year this time, but I'm going to do it again this year, and I will pay back what I owe you.
I think, speaking of New Year's resolutions, many people make the same resolutions every year. I think so. Maybe it's one of those. It's a human nature thing that we always strive to do the same thing every year, but don't actually end up.
Fail miserably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose the hope part of it is good. At least we're trying.
It is. And the most common ones, they tend to be in response to the time of excess, isn't it? Though, oh God, I had too much to drink over the Christmas, so I'm going to make a resolution that I will never have so much to drink again, and so on.
You definitely lose weight, be more healthy.
Yeah.
I think after eating all those chocolates and rubbish at Christmas, I think being healthy is definitely on my agenda now.
So it sort of bounced back really to a time of excess.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a sense of guilt after celebrating really hard at Christmas sometimes. Not saying that I have, but I'd imagine there is for people who have.
So do you think that resolutions actually work?
Well, obviously I think they don't. Because if they did, they wouldn't exist really, would they?
No.
I mean, because it might take you 5-10 years, you get through all your top resolutions, you'll be perfectly fit, really healthy, going out there doing things, what else would you have to make resolutions for if they worked? You'd run out.
Exactly. I think if you want to do something, you should start it as soon as you want to do it, rather than waiting till New Year's. Because then if you had the willpower to do it, you do it straight away and stick to it. Whereas people say, oh yeah, New Year's, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then a few weeks later, the momentum's gone.
So do you think it's just a subject for conversation when when the family have all gotten together over Christmas, they've all run out of things to do, to say, to argue and to fight about, and they think, okay, well, let's get together and make some ridiculous resolutions that none of us are going to adhere to, but it passes the time.
Possibly. And I think because it's the start of a new year, I think psychologically you want to make a change and you want to do something
Fresh
differently.
beginnings.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think that's an important part of it. I think what Prerna said earlier about willpower is a big part of it. It's hard to start things just like that. But if you're celebrating a big occasion, a big event, it psychologically marks that thing. Yeah, that's when I started that. Or,
And I suppose it might be a little bit easier if everybody is doing the same sort of thing. If everyone is making promises publicly and openly and declaring them, then I think there is a bit more encouragement and support as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely,
I guess.
that's right. Like Stoptober, I think everyone stopped smoking in October. I think because everyone does it together, it's like a massive hype and
Yeah.
a big thing. And
We love to do things together.
That's true. Actually, I think there's comfort in numbers. Even with November, most people don't like moustaches.
Exactly.
I've been wanting to keep a moustache for ages, and it's just not acceptable except on November for some weird reason.
It's true. Everyone stops drinking in January. Everyone's going to the gym. So, yeah, safety in numbers. If everyone's doing it, it might be easier to do it as well.
Yeah, no, so just quickly, if you've got any resolutions which you think are popular, or, indeed, if you've got any resolutions which you think are going to be very different and completely unlike what anyone else has got, feel free to text in on 07961 387 787, or you can call us and join in with the conversation on 0208 472 9292.
Okay, so, Prerna, resolutions. Have you a favourite one? Have you got one that you're going to work with this year?
I think being healthy, definitely.
Oh,
sounds a bit vague to me.
Yeah.
Eating well.
Far too reasonable, that one.
Sleeping well, exercising.
Looking after yourself.
Yeah, looking after myself a bit more. But then I started this resolution in September, so it's just a continuation of it.
Also, have you been keeping to it?
Apart from Christmas, yeah.
So it was a time of lapse. Looking after yourself. Okay, how about yourself, Vivek?
I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure they're the sort of things you can nail down as resolutions.
Okay.
Doing my own thing more, I suppose.
Well,
So not following the crowd.
Yeah, I've decided, it's something I need to do more of. I'm usually a bit too accommodating sometimes, and I think it'd be better if I just,
So I can hear the way that you would probably articulate that resolution. I promise myself and I resolve this year to be more offensive.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could take that shape. Why not?
So you're working on pushing back boundaries then?
But that's the thing. I mean, I've been thinking about that, and it's a bit difficult because it is vague. You can't say my New Year's resolution is to do whatever I want to do.
Okay. Well,
Maybe take yourself into consideration more, or put yourself first.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I suppose I could.
Maybe.
That's far too nice. This is far too gentle and sattvic. I'm going to make a resolution now, right? And I'm going to give up shortbread biscuits, I think.
Oh.
Now, those of you who know me will probably know how difficult that is, especially
Really?
since I've just received a tin
Oh no.
of Scottish shortbread biscuits, and they look so delicious. But I think I will give them up, and we'll see how long this resolution goes.
You see, I think that's something good. I think resolutions like that, the more precise they are, the easier it is to keep to them.
And I think they have to be as well, don't they?
Yeah.
And in Indian culture, we have this thing called a sankalpa. Whenever you do a religious ceremony, then you pick an object, you pick an idea, you pick a concept that you want to pour all of that focus and attention into, and you call it a sankalpa. It's like a vow, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you declare it, and then all of a sudden, everybody joins in to that whole ceremony and pours all of their support for that sankalpa. And so it's like a really powerful affirmation.
Oh, wow.
And isn't that really what a New Year's resolution is, I guess?
I think
Is
so.
it a sankalpa?
So are you saying then that it's probably better to have one really good New Year's resolution than having a list?
I think it all depends on
Yeah.
how much of a masochist you are, I guess, really. For me, giving up shortbread and biscuits is enough.
is one and bad and hard enough.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you can focus completely on it then, right?
Yeah.
That is the thing, you don't need to worry about it. Whereas with mine, I could find out ways to try to prioritize one resolution over another, try to interpret
many
it in
have you
different
got?
ways. No, I haven't got many at the moment. I've still got some time to think about it. Actually, here's a good idea. I think I might ask the people I know to come up with suggestions. That might be quite a brave thing to do, to work out resolutions, because other people generally notice
Right.
things they think
And
you
they're
should
best
change.
placed at knowing you and what you should change rather than yourself.
I mean, you can
sometimes.
always say no.
Exactly.
So,
Asking other people to give you your New Year's resolutions.
sure, yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
not that's going against your first resolution of
It is,
thinking
isn't
about
it? There we
yourself
go.
and putting
Yeah,
yourself
there we go.
You've already failed
Failed
it.
that miserably already.
Typical. Totally unreasonable. No, but it's funny how that happens when you make a resolution. Isn't there part of you that sort of then starts to work on finding a way around it?
Yeah, I think naturally. That's why, you've got to be precise.
Okay, so in
So-
fact...
Just out of curiosity, would gingerbread men or gingerbread biscuits or ginger nuts or things like that be allowed?
They're suddenly starting to look more appealing.
Yeah.
The more I think about not having any shortbread biscuits, the gingerbread men, I can see them on the horizon. But part of me is saying, actually, I could modify that resolution and say, I'm not going to have any more triangular shortbread biscuits.
Yeah.
That would still leave me
Trying
the
to
option
find
to
ways
have
out
many
already.
more. Yeah.
You were
But-
cutting your triangular shortbreads into little squares.
This is a resolution I think I can work with now. No, but I think it's fundamental to us, isn't it? Isn't it just part of our desire, wanting to improve, and then working on
Definitely.
something one thing at a time, and then trying to get everybody's support? Is that what a resolution is then?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone wants to do something, wants to aspire to something. But at the same time, I think it's just as natural for us to wriggle out of things we find
Definitely.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think at the beginning of the new year, there's so much optimism going around that, this year is going to be better, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So it ties in nicely to New Year's resolutions because it's a new beginning, a new start,
Yeah.
and there's more motivation at the beginning of it.
No, definitely. February is going to be a very miserable month.
It always is. February.
That's usually when people give up.
When all of those failed resolutions and the despair of having not been able to maintain them starts to kick in.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got any resolutions you'd like to share with us, our text number is 07961 387 787, or you can call into the studio on 0208 472 9090.
Okay, well, just a thought for those listeners who are going to work on resolutions this year in spiritual practices. For people who are doing some sort of meditative or yoga practices, they say if you stick with a resolution for 21 days, it takes 21 days for that resolution to then become a habit, and it takes 21 days minimum to break an old habit.
That's amazing.
So if you hold it in your mind that for 3 weeks, I'm not going to give up on this resolution, I'm going to every day just say, right, count down from 21 and see where you are in 3 weeks. This is what spiritual practitioners say that you have to do to be able to make something new come into the way you think and the way you behave.
Yeah, I guess it's a significant amount of time that you lose the taste or you lose the kind of feeling to want to do something.
Yeah, I guess. It'd be interesting to see whether any people who have decided to give up smoking or something which is quite a strong habit, and whether that would work within 21 days.
So do you think this 21 days applies to everyone? Because Prerna briefly touched on willpower.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine some people could potentially cut it short even sooner, right? And some people might
Absolutely.
need more.
I'm sitting here right now erasing all record of the delicious and wonderful tastes of shortbread from my memory. And I'm going to walk out of this room and I shall never have a fond memory of shortbread at all.
And I think
Done.
with 3 weeks as well, it's a long enough period of time that if you lapse afterwards, you'd feel guilty because you've done so well of lasting 3 weeks in the first place.
Yeah, I think there is, that momentum thing's
Yeah.
important. I've been doing this for so long, I might as well carry on now. Otherwise, that last 3 weeks was for nothing.
Yeah.
And I think what I find works as well, if you put that thing right in front of you, this might sound a bit strange, you kind of test yourself as well. So if you get your shortbread and put it in front of you and look at it and say, I'm not going to kind of succumb and eat you,
Yeah.
that might work as well, because then psychologically you're training yourself to be above that.
Right, so-
Above
Yeah,
the shortbread.
but then again, on the other side, it could just fall flat on its face really badly. Just staring at the shortbread 5-10 minutes, you know what? Stupid resolution in the first place. I'm just going to eat this.
Yeah, I'll have a small triangular shortbread. Oh dear, I can't find one.